begin the special meeting of Dublin City Council for Monday, December 15th. Call to order.
Ms. Saleh? Mr. Lechleiter?
Here.
Mr. Reiner?
Here.
Mayor Keenan?
Here.
Ms. Genesee Zerker? Mr. Peterson? Vice Mayor Gerber?
Here. Okay, that brings us to ordinance 124-14.
Authorizing the city manager to execute a real estate purchase agreement and necessary conveyance documentation to acquire 2.82 acres more or less fee simple interest, 0.89 acres more or less fee simple interest, and 0.76 acres more or less temporary easement from Wendy's International, Inc., appropriating funds therefore and declaring an emergency.
I'll introduce it.
Very good. Marcia?
Yeah, as mentioned in the title, this is to acquire right-of-way from the Wendy's corporate headquarters site that we have up on the screen. The red line at the top is the right-of-way, the blue line is the temporary easement. And this will provide a significant acquisition that relates to one of the key signature circulator streets within the Bridge Street District for east-west connection. Basically, with this acquisition and some of the acquisitions that have occurred earlier, we'll be able to build the road from Riverside Drive over to Sawmill and have the connection east and west. We had an appraisal completed earlier this year. It was $812,327. Wendy's accepted our offer for the appraised value under the condition that we would close before the end of this year. And so we're recommending this evening that council dispense with the public hearing and approve the legislation as an emergency so that we can schedule the closing prior to year end.
And the main reason for tonight's special meeting to get that accomplished.
That's correct.
Okay, council discussion? Any questions?
For the record, would like it to be made clear why we need this property, if you might, articulate a little bit more on that.
Good point.
Yes, we talked about at the last council meeting in one of the presentations, we talked about the major circulator roads within the Bridge Street District, the east-west grid that will be built. This is what will be called Bridge Park Avenue and will provide one of the major east-west connections. And it's on the southern portion of the connector, and on the northern portion is John Shields Parkway.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else? Anybody? Jim? No one? No. If not, I'll entertain a motion to dispense with public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And
Passes emergency.
as an emergency, yeah.
As an emergency, thank
Right,
you.
correct.
Ms. Saleh?
Yes.
Mr. Lechleiter?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Ms. Genesee Zerker?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson?
And on the ordinance.
Ms. Genesee Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Yes. Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
Ms. Saleh?
Yes.
Mr. Lechleiter?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
And Mayor Keenan?
Yes. Thank you, Ann. Resolution 96-14.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a collective bargaining agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police, Ohio Labor Council regarding wages, hours, and terms and conditions of employment for employees within the Communications Technician Bargaining Unit.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you. Mr. Wagner?
Members of council, what we have is a resolution for your consideration that would end up as the terms and conditions of employment for the collective bargaining agreement with the dispatchers. In that agreement, it's a 3-year agreement. The memo to council identified 5 or 6 of the major changes that have any economic impact. The estimated cost over those 3 years is about $183,000. The union itself has already ratified this agreement, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Very good. Council?
How many employees are impacted by this?
18.
18. Thank you.
That would be up from maybe a year or two ago since we did
Right.
the joint dispatching agreement with
Yes.
Hilliard and Norwich Township, maybe Brown as well.
Right.
And that 183,000 approximately, does that include, that includes the additional employees that Mike is referring to, but some of that would be reimbursed to us through our contracts with those?
I believe some of that funding is reimbursable,
Yes, thank you.
Very good. Good point to
Does,
make.
excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Does that number include benefits?
It does include benefits. It does not include overtime.
Okay, all right,
But the reimbursement would include the benefit costs as well, pro rata.
Sure.
Yes.
yeah. I'd just like to thank both parties for their efforts in achieving this agreement.
Yep.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, if not, then we will vote on the resolution. Ann?
Ms. Genesee Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Lechleiter?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson? Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
Ms. Saleh?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes. And with that, I'll make a motion that we move to adjourn to executive session for discussion of personnel matters related to the appointment of a public employee and a public official.
Second.
Thank you. Ann?
Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Ms. Salee? Mr. Peterson? Mr. Lucklider?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Very good.
You won't be reconvening.
Okay, so we'll make that, now, so we will not be reconvening. We'll come back to the podium and we will formally
Formally
adjourn, but
adjourn.
we will have no business before the council.
Do you want to wave this cane?
Well, I'm close.